Well, let's continue with the theme of Africa Day celebrations. The Festival of Arts and Culture enters Day 4 today under the theme Keep Arusha Green, a tree planting project headlining today's celebrations of Africa Day. A local partner has donated 1,000 trees to the festival. Let's catch up now with Newsroom Africa's Hugo Ribatiga, who joins us from Arusha, Tanzania, and indeed Zianda Ngobo, who is all the way in Guinea. Let's begin with you, Hugo. You are in Tanzania and there is a huge tree planting campaign there. Why is this so important? Climate change, perhaps?
Colleague, good afternoon to you. Great to catch up with you once again. I'm not going to delve too much into the reasons why we all went out and planted trees in this rainforest, if you will, which is about an hour's drive from Arusha, Tanzania. I do have the chairman of FESTAC, Engineer Abioyo, and I'm going to speak to him now and just ask some of those questions, so hopefully we get some answers. Engineer, very good afternoon. Good to speak to you as always. And the question coming from my colleague in Johannesburg is, what is the significance of planting all these trees out in Arusha today?
I believe the first thing is say, keep Africa green, keep Tanzania green, keep Arusha green. The planting of a tree we did today is the CSR that Inspire and FESTAC Africa put together to send the message more than anything else. Yes, we did. There's about 50 of us that are here planting trees. That's not going to be what's going to have the biggest impact. But showing that the concern and the love for the environment, especially as we spent a lot of time talking about climate change initiative during the week, we felt the right thing to do is to come and plant trees, especially on today, Africa Day, to get all our people to be doing this more and more and more. We've been fortunate that Tanapa, which is the Tanzania National Parks, gave us 1,000 seedlings, and we're going to plant as much as we can with the delegates that are here. Whatever is left, we're going to give to the schools in Tanzania to also perpetuate that, and we hope the people that come in for the event can leave a legacy here and a chance for them to come back into Arusha in the future.
Well, my legacy has been planting a moringa. There are obviously a number of other trees that are being planted today. Any specific trees, and if so, why?
Moringa, because of what moringa represents. It's health. So we did a lot of health and wellness. So we felt moringa would be one that can also be used as medicine for the people in the future.
Now, let's talk a little bit about FESTAC itself. We're halfway through the festival. Are you happy with its progress? What can we look forward to in the remaining days?
I'm extremely pleased with what we've done. As you were here, you've been here for a few days. The first 3 days was the investment conference, which dealt into the diversity in what we do, diaspora initiatives, climate change initiative, and a lot of other topics that we covered. Now, starting today, we are moving into the outside, the classroom stuff. We're now going to sports. Golf starts tomorrow. Basketball for the kids starts today. Soccer starts today. So we want to infuse all of these things in what we are doing to make sure nobody gets left behind. As you know, every evening has been the cultural event as well as all the musicians singing and everything. So from now on Thursday, May 25th, April Day, we are partying all the way to Friday 27th.
Don't talk too much about the partying. I'm still working.
Okay, you're not partying, you're working.
So let's talk about young people and their involvement, and certainly how FESTAC has been received by the people of Arusha.
Very well. One of the things I mentioned to you earlier was in 1966 and 1977, a lot of the focus were more on the arts and culture, with a little bit done on the children. So what we've done in the 2022 and 2023 going forward is we infused 2 things that were not in the old ones. Number 1, trade. Because we realize, yes, we can do culture and arts, but if we don't trade, we can't sustain who we are. Because that's really what this is all about. The continent is at 15% intra-African trade for the last 20, 30 years. To change that number, you've got to love one another through doing cultural events. So that's the bottom line for that. Now, in terms of sports and the other activities, we cannot, if I look back on what happened in 1977, I was in part of 77. But if you talk to a lot of people today under 50 years old, they don't remember 77. So that's why we infuse the children in what we are doing. We got them in through sports, using the soccer and basketball, and also STEM education. So we do all those things to say, come on in and then also show them the cultural pieces is what we are talking about, to get them to be part of what we are doing, so they can perpetuate this and make sure this event doesn't die again and continues every year, every May, to represent Africa Month, every last week of May to represent Africa Day, and it's going to be every year, come rain or shine.
Now, the big question on everybody's lips at the moment is the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. How does FESTAC feed into something like that?
A whole lot. One of the personal opinion, one of the problems I saw on the continent is the division amongst all of us. And it comes from the fact that we don't travel into one another's country. So by having a cultural event that is nomadic and that moves, it forces all of us to travel one another. So our pessimism, our prejudice will get broken by seeing the other people's area, to know that we are actually one. Once we realize we are one, once we network, once we travel, once we explore one another's land, we will trade. No matter how you do it, because what you find out is, because we don't talk, there are certain industries where somebody comes from Nigeria to buy a service in South Africa, and the service is actually from the UK. Why? If we talk, we'll trade.
Engineer Abure, he's the chairman of FESTAC 2023, speaking to us certainly about the activities that remain. Polly, it's going to be exciting as we get to the business end of FESTAC 2023. Back to you in studio.
Hugo Ribatiga, thank you very much. Well, as you can see on the other side of your screen, Zianda Ngobo, she is all the way in Guinea today. And Zianda, the former president, Thabo Mbeki, will be leading celebrations in Guinea, where he will be the main speaker for the annual lecture this year, which is taking place for the first time outside of South Africa. Let's speak now to Zianda. Zianda, what has always driven the former president, Thabo Mbeki, from the time that he was president of South Africa, has always been this dream of the African Renaissance, the achievement of the African Renaissance. Is that still the vision now that drives his foundation? Perhaps more importantly, what's to be done to realize African Renaissance?
Absolutely, and the former president is still continuing to embody those values. In fact, I'm told that before he joined us here in Guinea-Conakry last night at around 7 o'clock local time, the reason why he arrived much later than us is because he was continuing with further interventions related to the conflict in Sudan. So still an important player when it comes to conflict on the continent. And certainly when we talk, for instance, about West Africa, where we are, whether you're talking about Guinea-Conakry, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, there is still the new issues now that the African Renaissance needs to consider. The immigration crisis that continues to plague this part of the continent, but also even across the board, whether you're talking about the East, West, Sub-Saharan Africa or the South, there's still the issue of military coups. In fact, this is one country that has experienced a military coup in 2021. So these are issues that still need to be reflected upon, and part of the conversation will be looking at new forms of Pan-Africanism, which is of course one of the key undercurrents of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. So he'll be having a briefing this morning with Prof. Siba Grover-Guy. He's a West African professor, but also he is currently based in Wisconsin in the US. In fact, he is a lecturer in international relations theory and African political thought at Cornell University, and he was also a fellow. But even more critical, why are we in Guinea? Well, this was also a country that has been a host to several Pan-African leaders, whether you're talking about Sekou Toure, Kwame Nkrumah, our very own Miriam Makeba, and the likes, Amilcar Cabral. So this is a country that has a rich history in Pan-African thought, and one of the things is, as you'll know, Koli, there's always, on days like these, some kind of despondency to say, we talk about these ideas all the time, but where is the implementation? And so we're yet to hear whether or not this is just going to be another talk shop, or what real efforts have been made by African leaders to actually deal with some of the issues plagued by the continent in today's day and age.
Zianda Ngobo, live for us in Guinea-Conakry, the capital there. Thank you very much.